Welcome back to another banging Street Preachers podcast.
Welcome back.
Chris. He is the millionaire in a pandemic. I am the young HBK. And we are going to be discussing future endeavors as far as the podcast is concerned. And, you know, just regular barbershop talk. So let's get it.
Yes, sir. What's good, man?
So, same old stuff, man. Just grinding like a skateboarder.
Same here, man. Just staying busy.
Yes, sir.
Trying to survive the apocalypse. You never knew that Walking Dead was going to become real.
I wasn't ready.
But it has, though, man, for real.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man, like, to make it through 2020, that's more than a participation trophy. That we need.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what would be nice is getting that stimulus.
Yeah.
That would be real nice.
Yeah, man, it's just been a crazy year in general, just with all that's going on.
So
trying to catch a break.
So let's go ahead and
jump right into it.
Yeah. So future. Starting next week, we're going to be crossing over with another podcast. One of our friends.
I'm looking forward to that. Straight hustle.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Just has his hand in about everything you can imagine. He's got a stand-up comedy show coming up in March. We're going to attend. Might have to go live on that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
But either way, stay tuned for that. That's gonna be special, and he's gonna come on ours. We're gonna go on his. We'll give all the information for those who want to see it.
That'll be fun.
So, Chris, let me ask you a question.
Yeah, no doubt.
Over time, you know, stereotypes, right? Stereotypes are always the downfall to a lot of conversations, or you know, just. It's not always as it seems, I guess.
Right, yeah, definitely.
One of the stereotypes that I've always dealt with is I've been told, oh, you're cool for a white boy.
Yeah, oh yeah. Same stereotype I've got.
Or you know.
Funny, you're the funniest black guy now, right?
Okay,
you know,
so we both,
right.
different avenues, same mountain.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
So I've always wondered, now of course, your voice may not represent all black voices.
Right, yeah.
But who do you think is the coolest white people to black people?
So it's funny because generally I viewed that as, because I kind of view it as just people who are who they are. I've always viewed that different. But in terms of just the general consensus, I mean, I still know that Paul Walker,
okay,
you know, rest in peace, obviously. Channing Tatum, Eminem, right? That's kind of
it's kind of by default in a way.
He's in the culture, you know.
Yeah.
So
let me ask you,
Justin Timberlake, right?
Timberlake, I think Bieber has probably gotten a pass by now.
Yeah, those type of cats for sure, man.
So okay, I'm gonna pose a couple of people and you tell me what you think. But also, I want to pose this question first: do they have to be within the culture to be considered either A, accepted, or B, even thought of as cool?
No, I don't. From what I witnessed, it doesn't even seem like it has to be in the culture. It's like if you're in the culture, it helps. I mean, I would consider like Eminem or Justin Timberlake somewhat woven into the culture, somewhat.
Definitely.
Bieber, you know, somewhat as well, just by some of the songs he's done, some of the collabs or whatever. But I wouldn't say that. Well, I don't know, man. Maybe there is a touch of the culture. Because you even think about Channing Tatum, right? By his acting, right? By the movies he acted in, yeah, he's kind of crossed over into the
right.
culture. But someone else that I've and people may disagree, but you know I've kind of heard is like Matt McConaughey.
I think so.
But he's not in the culture. He represents something.
He represents the opposite of the stereotype.
Well, and this you're right. And here's what's interesting, because I hadn't even thought about this till just now. and this has nothing to do with political views. I want to rewind the clock back before the presidency. Factually, I don't believe there's anyone who couldn't have said Trump was embedded in the culture. It's just, it was what it was.
There's pictures.
Yeah,
there's videos.
I mean, he was in Bobby Brown's video. I believe it was '89, right? So obviously, politically, things have changed.
And hey, Mac Miller made a whole song about it,
right?
And this was not that long ago,
right?
And so for 30 years, people thought he was as cultural of an icon.
It represented wealth.
Money,
it represented everything that hip hop was about, right? Like, that's why he was in there, because the glamour, the suits, the this, the that. So, yeah. So now that you say that, yeah, I definitely think culture's a part of it. It definitely is.
So that being said, let's. This is kind of a side question.
Mm-hmm.
Who is the most accepted white person in the culture that's not in the culture?
Man, that's not in the culture.
Like, somebody comes to mind right away is Bill Nye the Science Guy. Like, somebody like that. Something.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
It's like he's not hip hop at all.
Yeah.
But he's people. Everybody's like Bill.
Yeah,
Bill.
it's like him.
It's like everybody loves it.
It's those figures who have a role and are just, it's that role, and it's because you're either in the culture, and if you're not outside the culture and you stay in your lane, I hate to say it like stay in your lane, and you're just like a figure in society, I feel like it's acceptable. Look, as crazy as it is, Alex Trebek, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a symbol of something, right?
That's kind of in that Bill Nye realm.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Pat Sajak, right?
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are those people that everybody in the culture grew up with, that didn't overstep some.
Bob Barker.
Right, that didn't have to say some dumb comment that threw everything out the window for a certain class of people or group of people. Those are the ones who it's like, yo, even if you felt, we don't know how you felt, but you did your thing. You didn't step on all kinds of people's toes. And that's the way I kind of feel about it. You know what I'm saying?
I've always felt Ric Flair is a good example of this.
Oh, he's good.
It's funny to me with Ric Flair because in the 80s when he was wrestling, he was just a flamboyant guy.
Right.
There was nothing hip hop about him.
Right.
Flash forward to the 2010s and 20s, he's like best friends with Offset. It's like, it's so weird how times change and things change like that. And I've always found it fascinating that there are certain icons that never tried to step over into that realm or that boundary.
But are pulled into it.
Yeah, just based on them being either different or not the stereotype. Ric Flair is not a, we'll say, quote unquote, white guy. Yeah,
I think part of it too is when you find that, the ones that really go far, it is those unlikely connections, because that's the breakthrough, right? When you, think about it. If you connect, you're not expecting, as a black man, you're not just expecting to connect with Ric Flair. It's not that you don't. It's not a thought, right? So when you do, you're like, oh, snap. So once you're kind of enlightened to something new, it becomes special. I think. And
yeah, it's almost like Ric Flair makes you stop thinking about stuff like, like injustices and like just the things that really mean something. It like he takes you away from it for a minute, and he's just cool. That's accepted everywhere.
Yeah, he's living in the moment.
And
absolutely.
I think people like that really can be celebrated in this life.
No, absolutely, man. I agree with that, man. Tell me what's happening. What about hip hop, man?
Well, we've started the year strong. Today we had the Black Messiah soundtrack come out. Nipsey Hussle and Jay-Z have a song together.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've. Yes. I don't know if you've had a chance to hear it yet, but I'm gonna tell you, man. I hate saying this out loud. I really do. Jay-Z's last two verses, he either doesn't care or he's falling off. It's one of the two.
Yeah, it's not.
When you hear Jay and Nip, first of all, Nip, that was an old. He don't even sound. He sounds like young Nip. It's something that was just, thrown into the vault. They locked it. Then
got it out.
Yeah, that's all that was.
Yeah, I'll tell you what it is real quick. No, I haven't heard it actually, but I'll check it out. I think Father Time is undefeated, man. And the deal is man, you can push the boundaries of age, but eventually it doesn't matter how great you were. Hip hop will push you out. I mean, it will.
It's
will
a young man's game.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, it is, because here's the deal. As life happens to you, right? Jay-Z's a father, right? He got a family, he's married or whatever. As life happens to you, is it possible to be a great father, right? An older man, and constantly up to date and in tune with the culture? I don't think it is.
You're right.
Because I don't think it is, because here's the deal. It's like, is it possible for an NBA player to be if he's got 3 children, to be at every single game? No, it's not of theirs. It's not.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you're not a great father, but it's like, you can't always be there. And when it comes to age and culture, age takes from the culture. The same way that Tom Brady may still be nice, but he's not 25 anymore. Period. He's not 27. You can't be both.
Like, who's going to be more popular if they walk up into the club? Tom Brady or, I don't know, Patrick Mahomes?
Exactly.
Like
Patrick Mahomes.
And it's
that's the way it works.
It's just, look, for the older guys out here, and we're approaching probably that more so than we're heading the other direction.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So Tom Brady's making us look good for the future.
Yeah, that's true.
Like it's like you don't have to stop at 40.
Well, and let's face it, this is tough. This is really tough, because we're talking about a legend here in my mind. In Atlanta, you go downtown. Not me and you. We already know. We know how we get down. But who they going more crazy for? NBA YoungBoys in the spot and Busta Rhymes.
Oh, NBA all day.
All day.
And it's sad.
And this is no disrespect. He ain't a legend. He hasn't reached legendary status.
No, it's the sign of the times.
He might become one, but he's not one yet.
Well, no, he ain't gonna become. No.
Well, I'm just trying to give him. I'm just trying to leave his chapter still open.
Yeah, no,
but Busta is a legend.
Well, he's
leaders of the new school. He's been around.
An icon.
Yeah, he's went through decades.
Now,
but that's the culture. The culture does decide that. Just the way the culture decides. The culture decided that Timberlands and Air Force Ones and the MJs and you know what I'm saying, Air Jordans and whatever, the culture.
Man, and while we're on that, let's talk about the words. We discussed this at an earlier date.
Yeah,
the one I can't stand the most is the word cap.
I can't either, man.
Where did that come from? Why is that a thing? I don't get it. It's the same thing about adding a T at the end of period. Now, there's going to be somebody out there be like, "Oh, you just old, or you just hate it." What? No, I'm not.
My thing is that
I speak good English.
Everybody, and it could be because of social media. Everybody just rides something, man.
Yeah.
It's like, even with Cap, like, it came out of nowhere and everybody was on it. Like,
and it's overused.
And it's very overused. Like, it's overextended its shelf life. Like, at some point you move on to like something else, but
it's moldy right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. My thing is, though, that's fine, but I just remember back in the day, you would let people, they would kind of have their thing, and they would use it. And you would have your thing, and you would use it. It wasn't this bandwagon of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like here's the deal. Next month, someone Cap could transform to carp. And it's like, yo, no carp.
Like,
and everybody's gonna ride it. Like, no. There should be some guy right now that says carp, and that's what it is, and it's his. You should be able to own your own stuff, but it's unfortunately that's another part of the culture, though.
So, who dictates these words though? Because it originates somewhere. Somebody says it for the first time.
Well, here's what's interesting. A lot of people think it comes from rappers and comes down. It comes from the streets. Rappers jack it, and then it comes down. Well, that's what happens.
It's Quisha from 43rd and 2nd, and she says it one time because she can't think of a word. And a lot of these probably happen on accident.
Oh, and by the way, it's just like hip hop. A lot of people don't realize throughout the years, big time rappers have continually stolen stuff from people,
especially these newer ones.
They don't have the exposure, right?
Yeah.
So, and here's the deal. A good example is if a small YouTuber came out with a video, somebody could go. Now, a big YouTuber can turn around and jack their ideas. And because they have the exposure, it would seem as if the idea was theirs. But time tells the story. If you really want to dig and if you want to be Matlock and you want to dig and find out the truth, you'll find out the truth and find out where it came from. But that's the problem. People aren't looking for the truth anymore.
You'll find coronavirus
people think
origins before that.
Does a lot more for you than the truth, and that's what's unfortunate now.
Well, that's cap, I guess.
Exactly.
I guess for me, the terminology, it's not. I don't think that I'm necessarily getting old. It's just it doesn't make sense anymore. Yeah. People are just going and doing whatever the hell they want to do.
But you know what? I will say, maybe we've seen other signs, but when we were in the time, it was different. Like maybe no cap is like I swear for G, or I swear to G, or Bible, right? Mm-hmm. Because here's the funny thing. You say Bible, yo, no doubt, man, Bible. What I realized was this. I was saying that 3, 4, 5 years, man. And then I heard one of the Kardashians say it. After 3 or 4 years. And I was like, okay, Bible's arrived. On to something else. It's just the way it works. Like, once they get a hold of it, and it's not because it's the Kardashians, it's just once it makes its way to that level, it's embedded in the culture, man. And then stuff just moves, man. So that's the way it works.
You know when I knew the dab died?
When's that?
When I saw Hillary Clinton do it on Ellen.
Yeah, see, like, there you go. It's done.
It died as soon as she didn't even really do it. No, she kind of, I don't know what she did, but
she broke her neck.
Yeah, she broke her neck. Rigor mortis set in. There was a lot going on in that clip, but certain people, when it gets there, and I hate to say this because I am one, when white people start doing it, the culture's done with it. And that's why that alludes back to what I was saying about the coolest white people to black people, because if Channing Tatum does the dab while it's cool, right, he doesn't shut it down. It continues.
You're right. And also, I will say, that's why paying homage is the way that the culture lasts. Because here's what's funny.
That's so true.
Go to a wedding.
So true.
Go to a wedding, and why is the electric slide play? And people do it. It's homage. Because our parents did it, and their parents didn't do it. And their parents didn't. Parents didn't. No, somebody 200 years ago was not doing the electric slide.
A future guest. His name is Jordan. He's very popular with the ladies. He'll be on soon. But when Jordan says that one day,
right,
he can actually say
He can actually say our parents did it and their parents did it.
Exactly.
You're right.
And I'm upset about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Somebody brought this to my attention.
You gotta feel it.
Ooh.
It's electric.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I hit him with that.
Hey, don't go and get a record deal now. So somebody brought this to my attention one day, and I started thinking about this, and I have not stopped thinking about it for years now. So let's just think about like our grandparents, what music they listen to.
Right.
Okay. We'll quit thinking about that for a second. When we're their age,
Right.
are we gonna be listening like Dr. Dre, nothing but a G thing? Like, is that what's gonna be played? You know,
Kind of like they listen to
like that old timey,
right?
like,
Yeah, like our
you know, like early,
yeah, like
20s,
even like
30s.
our like you know like whether it's Luther Vandross or Al Green or like the old school joint, which by the way I'll listen to.
Oh, I do too. Yeah.
But I don't listen to it like I listen to more up to date stuff. But I do listen to it a lot. You know, it's like that feel good joint. Or the Gap Band, or I can go on.
Earth, Wind and Fire, Commodores.
Charlie Wilson. I can go on forever. Yeah, absolutely. So Michael Jackson, but yes, that's a good thought, man, because it's hard to think like that we would listen to at this point, because I think we're living through it. It's hard to think that will we listen to Tank, like Earth, Wind and Fire. You know what I'm saying? It's just it's hard to think about that. But also, music used to connect more too, though. Like, doesn't mean the music's still not good, but sometimes it doesn't feel like it connects the same way. So
it wasn't as watered down either. You know, it's like when a certain album came out, that's what you had. You know, there wasn't, you know, Lil Chris from, you know, Duluth that put an album out.
Yeah.
You know, same time Kanye or somebody like that put one out. You know, it's like Kanye dropped, 50 Cent dropped. That was it for that week.
Yeah,
you know,
you're
it's
right.
So there wasn't competition. So each album you connected to it. You know?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
And that's the problem with the internet today. Everybody, you got a MacBook, you got a studio.
That's the.
I mean, look at us. We have a podcast studio right here.
Right, yeah, and that's a good point. And here's the deal: people get put on now because people on the internet hear a catchy tune, and we love it and run with it. The problem with that is this person's not polished. Mm-hmm. So while you love that tune, you got to recognize the person that you're loving. They got a half a hit. You're gonna want an album from them. They don't even know how to spit a 16.
Yeah.
They don't even know how to really write music. And what people fail to realize in the music business is, if you were to ask most artists, they would tell you, "Oh yeah, such and such taught me how to write. Such and such taught me how to put together a 16." They didn't know how. Someone just saw talent in them, was like, "Okay, well you're working with what you're doing, but let me show you how to actually write." And then once they're shown, they take off. And once you really get into music, you start to understand that. Like, that's why you see the genius of Eminem. Like, if you study Eminem, the way he writes, he's got a certain pattern. Like, he's created his own pattern. But a lot of people never get below the surface to understand it.
But see, there's some artists that are too smart for the masses.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And when that happens, people are like, "Oh, they're whack." Are they though, or are you just not mentally there to really take in?
A good point to that is this: because of my profession that I've worked in for years, I've heard people say truck drivers are terrible drivers. No, the truth is, no, you are. The truth is, you are. Now there may be some bad ones, right? But no, they've driven millions of miles. And you're the savage on your phone.
And are driving something that is very heavy and cannot stop
they're
on the
driving
dime.
Something that's 80,000 pounds, having to operate through you whipping throughout traffic. But the difference is it's your vantage point, right? And you think you're the one. But the thing is though, they're the ones that can see in your car while you're texting with 2 cell phones with no hands on the wheel. You're the savage, right? It's all about vantage point.
But then if they slam on their brakes and you know,
exactly.
your tail comes up, you're mad at them for doing that. It's like, well, you want them to be swerving in and out of lanes? Like,
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I'll tell you, man, like, driving is getting worse, like with people, and I do think it's cell phones. I do.
I do too. Let me put it this way: Tesla. That's the answer. Not only Tesla, but we will have to have cars.
Self-driving.
I'm not saying they fully self-drive, but they keep you from going into another lane. That is the only answer, because people's cell phones are going to get them killed, and it will continue to. That's the only answer. Or phones that just simply will not function. I mean, and I'm not saying this is the answer, but if the government mandated that, whether Apple and Google made phones that, hey, when the car is going down the road, if they're sitting in this seat, it simply will not function. And I know that's like a high-tech whatever. That's just off the top of my head. But, you do it through the dash or something like that. But there's no other way around it, because it's just gotten disgusting. And it's bad. People are dying. Young people are dying. And if anything, I don't want to make some public announcement, but look, just because your child turns 16 doesn't mean you should just... Do you think your child isn't going to text and drive? You got to have that conversation. And you got to find some way to monitor that, man.
Yeah,
you can't just throw your child in the car and say, hey, here, have at it. And especially where we live. You want to do that in the country, it's dangerous enough. But here, not with 4 lanes, 5 lanes.
You can be looking directly at somebody here, like looking at them.
Yeah.
And they still somehow almost make you hit them.
Right.
To take your eyes down, just to even look at your phone just for 1 second, can be the difference between a wreck and going on about your day.
Absolutely.
But I look at it like this. I see teenagers in, like, say, Walmart, for example. They're just walking with their head down, just doing whatever they do on their phone, almost running into people, running into things.
Right.
Then I'm going to trust them behind the wheel of a car? No, hell no.
No way. Mm-mm. So, when it comes to relationships, I get a lot of my ideas, man, just some kind of thought-provoking stuff I see. It comes from, YouTube and online. The conversation today came up of women being submissive.
Okay.
In in a relationship or whatever, and tends to be a topic that gets people bent out of shape. But I want to see what you thought. What do you think about that in your mind, and also what is submissive to you? You know what I'm saying? So I think to even talk about it, you got to define what is submissive in the first place, because people could be coming from different angles to not even know it.
Well, first thing that comes to my mind is traditional values.
Yeah.
I mean, do you value the man as head of the household? Do you believe a man should lead?
Right.
Personally, to a degree, I think for me, I'll give an example. If the woman I'm with, whether it be my wife, girlfriend, whoever, if I'm with this person, if she makes $100,000 a year and I make $40,000 a year, and she still loves me and money's not an issue, I'm cool with that.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, but some people think, the man needs to make the most, the man needs to do this, that, and the third. Okay, that's fine. We can play that role too.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if there's a garbage tied up ready to go out to the garbage, I don't think that you should wait for the man to come home for him to take it out. Like, if you're there and it's there stinking up the whatever room it's in, take it out. But I mean, if we're both there, of course I'm going to take it out. You know what I'm saying? So it's like submissiveness is I think a relationship should be equal in most ways. You should stand beside one another, not in front of or behind.
Right.
But I think when it comes to submissiveness, depending on who you're talking to, that's a rabbit hole we could go down. I don't know.
Yeah, man, I agree with that. I think for me, when people come up with especially with the money, because that always comes up. For me, at the end of the day, man, is when you get married, I see it as one anyway.
Mm-hmm.
There is no, it's one. So regardless of what whoever makes it's a household. The household makes this. We need to do what we do off of this. It doesn't matter, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's one thing, and I do think there's I do think things have changed over time. I mean, back in the day, I'm sure, Leave It to Beaver, right? Mr. Cleaver wasn't cooking, right? And that's cool for him. Me, my mom, my mom's a chef. I got no problem cooking, like whatever. My wife does cook, but if I need to cook, I'll just cook. I wash dishes. It's whatever. It's like I just figure it's like a team or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
if you and Jordan are hungry.
Yeah, we're not like well, no one's here to fix this meal. We're not eating like that. It's not like that. But some people try to play that role or whatever, and I just think it's unnecessary. But yeah, that's just something. There's just so much talk around that. I think it's interesting though, the different dynamic or whatever.
Well, submissiveness can come in many forms. It can be physically.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It can be emotionally.
Yeah.
It can be spiritually. But I think when it comes to submissiveness, I think it is about roles. I think that it's like, hey, you're the man. You do this. You handle this. And it's like, okay. Or it's like, no. It depends on your personality type. But I think submissiveness is almost essential in a relationship. Because imagine two alphas going at it every day.
Yeah.
And if it's two betas, you ain't getting anywhere anyway.
Well, that's where people overstep. I mean, to a degree. Let's not even make this about husband and wife or relationship. I mean, it's all relationship, but in the typical work environment, isn't someone submissive?
Have to be.
I mean, yeah, you can't
be a cashier telling the manager what to do.
Yeah, so exactly. So I think just when it gets to male, female, a lot of times it gets overplayed.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, somebody has to be the leader. That's just the ordeal. And you can't fight about who's going to be the leader.
No, you can't. And I think submissiveness comes from respect as well.
Oh, I think so too. Like, it's hey, I'm submissive to you because I trust you. You're going to make the right decision, and you're going to take what I have into account, which means ultimately we're going to move together anyway.
Can't win a championship playing one-on-one.
Right.
And you got to be wearing the same jersey.
And I don't think that any vulnerability should make you less of a man to your wife. If it does, it's a problem.
Yeah, well, that's the caveat there about being in a relationship is
right.
There's going to be times where even if you're the most dominant of dominant people, you're going to take a back seat sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Man.
But submissiveness is such a funky thing, man, because some people just aren't set up for that.
No, I agree. And, regardless of how you feel about it, we've seen the effects in society. I mean, you can look at it.
Yeah.
You can see what's going on. There's definitely been a shift in relationships and how things work out. And,
yeah, I mean,
there's all kinds of people over here saying I'm looking for a man or I'm looking for a woman, but for some reason it's not meshing up. Well, I don't know the answer, but there's a problem somewhere because you're saying you want this person's saying they want this, but you're not finding each other, and I have to imagine there's a disconnect somewhere. So
I mean, submissiveness is kind of how skinny jeans were born. It's like somebody was submissive in the wrong area.
Right.
Just happened. It's kind of like the Big Bang.
Someone gave in. You know what I mean?
Somebody definitely gave in.
No doubt.
And so, what is your what do you think about when we talk about gender roles? Where are we at on that? Like, it's kind of baked into the same conversation, but do we like the idea of a man being that head of the household, taking care of every little detail, or is it good to kind of have your wife be like, all right, you take care of these things, I'll take care of these things, or is it case by case?
I think it's based off of. I do think it's case by case, but I think it's based off of your strong suits. I fix things, right? I just do.
Right.
If something's broke, I fix it. It
Right.
doesn't matter what it is. Change the brakes, whatever. Change the oil. I mean, I don't change my oil anymore. I can, though. If I need to, I'll change the oil. I used to. Stuff like that needs to be fixed around the house, I fix it just hands down all the time, 100%.
And then organization is another thing.
Yeah.
Like if the woman is more organized than the man, then obviously she needs to be the one controlling that aspect.
Right, absolutely.
Whether it be bills, list that needs to be done, made, whatever.
Right. Oh, by the way, let me say this too, man. My wife cooks most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I can cook. I always have. If I need to cook, I'll cook. Like I do cook. I haven't lately actually, but I typically cook a meal, maybe 2 a week. My wife cooks more, but ultimately I can cook. If I need to cook, then I will. If I need to pick my son up, I will.
So
or we take turns. It's whatever, man. To me, it's like a team, right? But we're interchangeable. Like, the center's not playing point guard.
Mm-mm.
Like, you gonna play point guard tonight? Okay. If I need to do it next time, then I will. That's the way that it works, or whatever. So
here's a real question.
Mm-hmm.
Who is a better cook between Cherie and Chris?
It's me. Easy. Me easy.
She was like, "Is that even a question?"
Right.
Oh man, I personally think that it's important, like vastly important, for you to have a person that is kind of like your vitamin, supplement you where you're not strong.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
And if you don't have that, it doesn't matter if somebody cooks or not. It doesn't matter if somebody is organized or not. Like, none of that matters, because if you both are just strong in the same things, you're going to heavily suffer in those weak areas.
I agree. You got to make up. You make up. It's like I said, it's about a team, and you each bring different stuff to the table, and that's what it's all about, man. But check this out. Thanks for checking out the podcast, Street Preachers, verse 3. What you got for them, Trace?
So upcoming things that we're going to be doing with the next podcast is we will be filming with another podcast that we mentioned earlier.
Absolutely.
The podcast that they are is called You Should Have Swiped Left. The premise is they invite people on, mainly women that they've either dated or people that they know, and they talk about what went wrong within a relationship or what went wrong when they dated. It's a really cool premise. It's a funny podcast. We'll get all the information out to make sure you guys can follow them, and vice versa. But we definitely are looking forward to the growth with this. We got a lot of stuff planned. Anything you want to add?
No, man. Yeah, just excited about it. Excited to just keep on coming up. The thing about it is, man, fresh topics come up every day, man.
Oh, absolutely.
And essentially all we're doing is just putting the camera on what we talk about daily anyway. Mm-hmm. So, I'm just excited about it. It'll be some good content for sure. And no doubt. So, yeah, we're definitely glad y'all tuned in to verse 3 of the Street Preachers podcast. And we'll be back. We'll see y'all next time.